let's talk about why you should use vintage lenses on your Canon M50. Stay tuned. It's coming right up. We're gonna like roll the intro or something. What's good, YouTube? It is your boy High Def Steph checking in once again with another video. I wanted to talk to you all today, especially my Canon M50 users, although this information will apply to everyone, about using vintage lenses with your modern mirrorless camera. Tons of benefits, maybe a couple of cons, but we're gonna talk about it. If you were somebody who came here from my last video on the Sigma 18 to 35, thank you and welcome back. And if you haven't checked that video out, I'll leave a YouTube card up here in the corner. Go check that out. Sigma 18 to 35, awesome lens. I'm shooting on it right now. But today's video is going to be about why you should use vintage lenses on your mirrorless cameras, the modern style. So, I didn't want to make like some long formal video. I just wanted to kind of talk about a couple of things that helped me out in learning how to shoot things, learning how to film things, and using vintage lenses, specifically ones like the Helios 44-2 with the aperture of f2.0, or this Vivitar 28mm 2.8, which I shot my very first YouTube video with. Using vintage lenses has a couple of benefits. The biggest benefit, it's gonna be able to teach you a lot faster how to shoot things, how to control the aperture in your shot, how to manual focus and pull focus on moving subjects and stuff like that. And specifically when you use vintage prime lenses, it's going to help you focus more on composition and moving your feet around. Now, another benefit of using vintage lenses that I have found is they're just really affordable. Like a lot of times when you want to get a very good lens with a very low aperture of something like f2, f2.8, or even below f1.8, 1.4, 1.2, those lenses start to get pretty pricey on the autofocus, the new modern lenses. With vintage lenses, you can really get quality glass and really fast lenses at f2 or below for relatively inexpensive. I found this lens right here, this Vivitar one, at a thrift store for like 10 bucks, and this the Helios 44 with an aperture of f2.0, I found this online with an app called Mercari for like 30 bucks. So you can get these things really at inexpensive prices. You just got to really be careful when you start buying them on the internet, and you actually have a chance to hold them in your hand and kind of look through the glass to see if there are any scratches or cracks, or if there's any fungus in any of the elements. So be careful when you're buying lenses through eBay, through Mercari, through Craigslist, and stuff like that, or any of the applications that will mail you your purchases instead of being able to kind of touch them up close. Another way to get your hands on a couple of vintage lenses, aside from going to one of those applications, is to actually go to a camera event. I'm fortunate enough to live in Los Angeles, and every month they have a bargain camera show that alternates from Pasadena and Anaheim, and I make sure that I go to those. And a lot of times you can find a lot of really great deals from people who are selling lenses of all varieties from many different makers. So I'll go ahead and link that information below if you just so happen to be in Los Angeles, and I'll link a couple of places below where you can grab a couple of these lenses right here. Like I said, the very first video I did on YouTube, I did with this 28mm f2 Vivitar lens, and it is really sharp. And a lot of these vintage lenses, not only do they have really fast apertures for low prices, a lot of them have a ton of character, and the really good ones, if you do your research, are really, really sharp. And the only cons, obviously, that I've noticed, or that I've actually experienced from using them, is the fact that it's manual focus. But I think that's the beauty of vintage lenses. It's really taught me how to compose shots, how to manual focus shots, and how to work with aperture and shutter speed, and everything that you need to know to successfully create content for YouTube. And specifically for my Canon M50 users, this is very, very important, because when I purchased the Canon M50, it was purchased with me keeping in mind that maybe I'm gonna do the YouTube thing, maybe I'm not gonna do it. So I don't want to spend a ton of money on camera gear that I'm not gonna use, but at the same time I still wanted a camera that I can really grow into and grow out of to something maybe much bigger and better in the future. And when you pair the Canon M50 as a mirrorless camera with vintage lenses, it's really a perfect marriage. So I definitely recommend that you guys go out and look into buying vintage glass. Not only do you have those pros and cons, but it's also like a conversation piece, man. Every time I go out somewhere and I'm shooting pictures or shooting video with some of my vintage lenses, people always come up to me and talk to me and ask me about you know, the lenses, and we end up having really long, interesting conversations about old pieces of glass from like the 70s and the 80s, man. So like I said, just be careful when you go out and buy a lot of these lenses. Make sure you check for scratches, make sure you check for dents, make sure you check for the overall build quality on the lenses, and make sure you look with the flashlight looking through the glass to see if there's any fungus there, because you don't want the fungus interfering with the picture quality. And if you have fungus on a vintage lens and you put it on your mirrorless camera, there's an opportunity for that fungus to spread to your sensor, and if that happens, you're donezo. So it's been real. I just wanted to have a quick conversation, quick talk about vintage lenses. Thank you for tuning in, and if you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, consider subscribing. We do videos, tips, pro tips, tutorials and stuff just like this one on different pieces of gear and different my experiences that'll kind of help you create content for YouTube. All right, so it's been real, guys. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. Peace.
Always wanted to say this. Really, when you play this, it's on your playlist. It's really not how you playing, it's who you play with. Cause you probably never take it if they ain't real who you came with. I lost it all, I'm working on getting back. It's a beautiful view and